I used to believe that love, once rooted deeply enough, could survive anything. But that night proved me wrong. It began like any other evening. Quiet, predictable. The kind of calm that hides the fault lines underneath. The rain had started early in Portland. The kind that whispered against the windows, instead of pounding them. I was curled up on the couch, editing photos for a client, when Ryan's text came through. "Liv's coming over. We need to talk." Just 6 words, yet they made my stomach tighten. Olivia Bennett had been my best friend since high school. Loyal, impulsive, full of brightness where I was cautious. She knew every version of me. The messy, the ambitious, the scared. Ryan adored her too, but in a different way. Or at least, that's what I had always told myself. When the doorbell rang, I wasn't sure what I was bracing for. The sight of them together on the porch, soaked from the rain, sent a flicker of unease through me. They looked nervous, not like people coming to share good news. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "What's going on?" Neither answered immediately. Ryan's jaw flexed. Olivia's hands twisted in the sleeves of her sweater. I could feel the distance between us growing by the second, like a rope fraying from both ends. "We should sit," Ryan said. That's when I knew something was wrong. I tried to make small talk, offered wine, joked about the weather, but every word fell flat. The air was too thick, too heavy. They exchanged glances I didn't understand, and the clock on the wall seemed suddenly too loud. Finally I said, "Whatever this is, just say it." Olivia opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her eyes flickered to Ryan for courage. He looked pale, exhausted. He began quietly. "We've made a mistake." My heart stumbled. "What kind of mistake?" He hesitated, then said, "One that's been going on for a while." I stared at him, waiting for the rest, for the part that would make it make sense, but it never came. Just those words, heavy and incomplete, hanging in the space between us. Outside, thunder rolled over the city. Soft, distant, inevitable. I didn't know it yet, but this was the moment the life I recognized began to dissolve. The moment friendship, love, and trust would twist into something unrecognizable. And as I looked at the 2 people I loved most, drenched in guilt and silence, I understood something I'd never wanted to learn. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive as a confession. It arrives as a presence. Sitting quietly in the room, waiting for you to find the courage to acknowledge it. That night, I wasn't ready, but the truth was already here. Ryan sat across from me, elbows on his knees, head bowed as though he were preparing for confession. Olivia lingered near the window, tracing invisible shapes on the fogged glass. Neither seemed to know where to begin. Or perhaps they already had, and the rest was just aftermath. I watched them in silence, studying the distance between their bodies, the way guilt can bend posture and steal breath. My heart thudded, like it wanted to flee the room before my mind caught up. When Ryan finally spoke, his voice was low, almost tender. "Emily, I didn't mean for things to happen like this." The words landed like stones in water. Slow, heavy, rippling outward. "Then why did they?" I asked. He looked up, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. "Because we were lonely. You were so busy with work, and I raised my hand sharply. "Don't do that. Don't turn this into something I caused." Olivia turned then, tears streaking her cheeks. "He's not blaming you. Neither of us wanted—" "Stop saying that," I cut in. My voice sounded strange to me. Calm, controlled. The kind of composure people mistake for strength. If you didn't want it, you wouldn't have done it. The silence afterward was unbearable. The sound of the rain against the window became the only rhythm left in the room. Ryan exhaled shakily. "We're telling you because it's over. Because you deserve to know." I wanted to believe him, but the truth had already settled in my gut, like cold metal. "You don't confess to ease my pain," I said quietly. "You confess to ease your conscience." Olivia's shoulders trembled. I know you hate us, but we came here to ask for something else. Her voice broke on the last word, and something inside me twisted. What could you possibly ask me for now? She hesitated, eyes flicking toward Ryan before she answered. We need your help. To tell Mark. He deserves to hear it from all of us. For a moment, I thought she was joking. My mind refused to process the absurdity of it. The idea that I, the betrayed wife, should become part of their moral cleanup. You want me to stand beside you while you destroy another marriage? I asked, my voice hollow. Ryan reached out, but I stepped back. His hand fell uselessly to his side. No, I said. If you want absolution, find it somewhere else. The words came easily, but my chest ached. Part of me wanted to scream, to make them hurt the way I did. Instead, I just opened the door. Go, I whispered. They lingered for a heartbeat, two ghosts afraid to cross the threshold. Then they left, and with them went the version of my life I thought was unbreakable. The door closed behind them, and the house fell silent, except for the steady ticking of the clock, counting the seconds of the life I no longer recognized. I didn't sleep that night. The sound of rain had faded, but the silence it left behind was worse. It pressed against my chest, heavy and deliberate. I kept waiting for the shock to fade, for anger to take its place, but all I felt was disbelief, the kind that makes you stare at your reflection and wonder how you missed the signs written so clearly in hindsight. By morning, the house felt foreign. Ryan's shoes by the door, his mug on the counter. Ordinary things that now looked like props in a life I no longer belonged to. When he came downstairs, his eyes were swollen, his movements slow. We should talk, he said. I didn't look up from my coffee. We did. You just didn't like what I said, he sighed, sitting across from me. Emily, please. I never meant for this to happen. I made a mistake. I laughed softly without humor. You don't make a mistake for 6 months, Ryan. You make a choice. He flinched, but I didn't stop. The truth had a sharpness I hadn't felt before. The kind that cuts deeper when you finally let it out. Was it worth it? I asked. Losing everything we built for. What? Excitement. Curiosity. He ran his hand through his hair, defeated. I don't know. I just know I felt alive again. And I hated that it wasn't with you. The words landed like a slap. I wanted to scream, but instead I whispered. Then why tell me at all? Because I can't live with what I did, he said. And because Olivia's pregnant, the world seemed to tilt. What? She doesn't know whose it is, he said, his voice barely audible. She's terrified. I pushed my chair back, my pulse roaring in my ears. You think I care about her fear? You both destroyed something sacred, and now you want me to help clean up the ashes. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. Stop saying that, I snapped. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry the truth made its way into daylight. But you're not sorry for what you did. He didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. I stood, gripping the edge of the table for balance. You should go, Ryan. Pack a bag. Stay somewhere else tonight. He hesitated. Please don't end it like this. I met his eyes, steady and cold. You already did. When he finally left, the house exhaled with me. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was final. I sank to the floor and pressed my palms against the cool tile, letting the stillness swallow me. The life I had built, the marriage, the friendship, the trust, had collapsed in a single night. But beneath the wreckage, something else stirred. Not forgiveness, not grief, something quieter. A strange, unfamiliar strength that whispered, "You'll survive this." And for the first time, I almost believed it. Days turned into weeks, but time didn't move the way it used to. It stretched, warped, replaying the same moments, until I could recite every word Ryan said that night. I didn't block his number. I didn't return his messages either. I needed silence. not as punishment, but as protection. Then, one afternoon, Olivia called. Her name lit up my phone like a wound reopening. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but curiosity, or maybe anger, won. "Emily," she said, her voice trembling. "Can we talk? Please." I met her at the park near the lake, the one where the three of us used to meet for coffee on weekends. It felt cruelly familiar. The smell of pine, the glint of sunlight on the water, the laughter of strangers floating by like ghosts of who we once were. Olivia looked pale, exhausted. Her hands twisted the strap of her purse. "I didn't know how to face you," she began. "But I couldn't keep pretending." I folded my arms. "Then stop." Tears filled her eyes. "It started after that night you canceled dinner. Ryan came over to help me fix a light and I cut her off." "Don't give me the details. Just tell me why." She swallowed hard. "Because I was lonely. Because I wanted something that wasn't mine. Because I envied you." The honesty in her voice stunned me more than any excuse would have. She wasn't just confessing. She was unraveling. "I thought he could feel whatever I was missing," she continued. "But I was wrong. It wasn't love. It was guilt wearing desire's face." The wind caught her hair, tossing it across her tear-streaked face. For the first time, I saw not the friend who betrayed me, but a woman who had broken herself trying to feel whole. "Are you really pregnant?" I asked quietly. She nodded, hesitating. "Yes, but it's not Ryan's." My breath caught. "What?" "I made him believe it was," she admitted. "I thought it would make him stay, that he'd choose me if he thought we were tied forever." For a heartbeat, I couldn't speak. Every ounce of anger in me twisted into disbelief, then hollow pity. "So you lied," I said finally. She nodded again, sobbing. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I've already told him the truth. He left town yesterday. Said he couldn't face either of us." The words landed softly, yet they echoed through me like thunder. Ryan was gone. Olivia was broken. And I was still standing. As she walked away, I sat on the bench, watching the lake shimmer with sunlight. My world had collapsed, but beneath the wreckage, there was space. Terrifying and vast, but mine. For the first time in months, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like a victim. I just felt awake. And somewhere deep inside, I realized, sometimes, the end isn't destruction. It's release. Autumn came quietly, as if the world had decided to move on without asking my permission. The leaves outside my window turned amber and gold. The air carried that familiar scent of rain and wood smoke. For months, I'd marked time by what I'd lost. Now, I started counting by what remained. The house felt lighter without Ryan's presence. Not empty, just uncluttered by the weight of unspoken things. I'd moved his things into boxes, stored them in the attic, not out of hate, but out of mercy, for both of us. Some ghosts don't need to be exorcised. They just need to rest. Sometimes, I still caught myself setting 2 mugs on the counter before remembering there was only one person to fill them. Old habits, like old wounds, fade in stages. Olivia left town a month after our meeting. She sent one final message. Short, sincere, and filled with remorse. I didn't reply, not because I hated her, but because I finally understood that forgiveness isn't something you give to others. It's something you grant yourself so you can stop bleeding. Life didn't rush to fill the silence that followed. It whispered instead. In the way, sunlight filtered through the kitchen window. In the laughter of strangers I overheard at the market. In the realization that peace doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes, it just sits beside you one morning and waits to be noticed. One evening, I walked to the lake again, the same place where everything had broken open. The water was still, reflecting the bruised colors of sunset. For the first time, I didn't see the memory of betrayal there. I saw possibility, quiet, patient, unassuming. I sat on the same bench where Olivia had cried months before and whispered to the wind, Thank you. Not to her, not to Ryan, but to the version of me that survived. There was a strange freedom in knowing I could rebuild without asking anyone to hand me the pieces. The world hadn't ended. It had only shifted, forcing me to find balance in a new shape of living as I stood to leave. A light breeze rippled across the water, scattering the reflection into fragments. For a second, I saw my face there. Not the woman who was betrayed, not the one who was broken, but someone new, someone whole. Walking home under the fading light, I realized something simple and true. Love can destroy you, but it can also return you to yourself, and maybe that's the real story. Not the night everything fell apart, but the morning I decided to begin again.